Guys, we're live. All right. We're still coast to coast. I'm in California. Oh, my eyes look closed. Uh, well, I'm in California. Paul's in Florida, so we're still coast to coast. You will see that we're missing Jason this morning. Jason is taking a break, but we hope to have him back soon when he's ready to come back. His seat's being kept warm for him, I'm sure. And we miss you, Jason, but we look forward to when you return. And I just want to say thank you to all the help and all the new members that we've got. Our Iowa Hawkeye Sports Facebook page turned 5,000K yesterday, and that is a huge accomplishment, guys. That puts us up there with one of the biggest Hawkeye Facebook pages out there. Most of them don't have more than 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 or less on there. But there are some ones that are even bigger than ours. But that just it just shows that around the way you guys like what we're doing, and we appreciate that so much. And if you pay attention, once in a while, there's a lot of former Hawkeyes that are members of our page and family members of Hawkeyes and former Hawkeyes. And if you pay attention closely, they will comment every now and then. So I would, when you're commenting on some of these guys, I would be very careful about what you say.
That's right.
I had to delete a comment this morning. I didn't catch it, but it was like 3 or 4 days ago after Justin Jacobs announced that he was leaving Iowa for Oregon State. And somebody came on and called him a loser. And I was so embarrassed because I didn't catch that. I would have deleted that comment immediately had I seen it. And Justin Jacobs, former coach and handler from high school and still handling his NIL deals right now, saw that comment and wasn't too happy with that comment. But, why would you call the guy a loser? I mean, the guy, had he stayed for Iowa, would you have called him a loser then? Or, are you getting mad because he's jumping ship and trying to better himself, Yeah, we would all like him. We would all like him and the people that we lost in the portal, Keegan Johnson and everybody. We'd like them to stay, Arlen Bruce. We'd like them to stay and contribute, but they chose not to. So we got to go with the people that are here, the people that are going to the dance. And that's the way it is. But God, guys, wish them well. They were former Hawkeyes. Don't get mad at them for leaving because, we're accepting people that left Michigan. We got 2 people coming from Michigan this week.
Mm-hmm.
So let's not get too upset. We're doing the same thing the other schools are doing. We're accepting transfer portal people. But today's show, we want to talk about, we're going to take about we'll talk about the top stories in each of the major sports this week, men's, women's basketball, the wrestling, the football, things that we've done here in 2022, that they have done in 2022. And, we wanted to limit to top 5, but I just felt like there was just so much good news that we wanted to hit, highlight, because a lot of good things have happened that we would just go under each heading and we just talk about the top stories there. Paul, would you like to contribute an opening statement or a commercial?
I would actually. So, here we are. We are to the 11th hour, right? We got the holidays. They are here. They're no longer coming. There may still be time for you to get that last minute gift for that special someone, or maybe it's your boss, right? Maybe it's a coworker, maybe you're a secret Santa at work or white elephant or whatever. And you're just, hey, I got a $20 limit. That's kind of the deal. What could I get in that price range that somebody might actually like? And that is why we have the link here on the screen to, Scentsy by Terry. These are great products. Again, we've talked about this 1,000 times, right? This is stuff you guys, someone in your home is buying these things, right? Whether it's laundry soap, dish soap, counter cleaner, air fresheners, lotions, body soaps, body wash, waxes. I mean, these things, I guarantee you have these products in your home and you're having to replace them at some point, or maybe you just don't know. Well, what do I get the boss, right? What do I get my coworker? Check out. There's all kinds of stuff on here. They make great gifts, great stocking stuffers. Again, we have them, right? So this is what one of the wax bars looks like. All of us on the show, we all actually do buy the stuff. We use the stuff. We absolutely love it, and we wouldn't be pimping products that we don't actually use. So
cool. As usual, Jared's way out in front of us. He wants to know what we know about the new O-line coach, Coach Brown. Should we just discuss that now before we hit our topics? And well, I had that as a topic under football when we talk football later.
It's my basic understanding. I know very little. He came from Southwest Missouri State, I think. Mississippi Valley State. Sorry, Mississippi Valley State. Jerry Rice's school, if I'm not mistaken. And I'm not even sure he's actually going to coach the O-line. From what I had read or had a basic understanding, he's going to be part of the recruiting team, and he'll be kind of responsible for recruiting down here. Maybe we'll cross paths, he and I, down here in the South.
Yeah, I believe Tyler Barnes tweeted out yesterday that he was looking forward to Chris Brown joining the staff in January as part of the recruiting team. So I think it's a little premature to think he's the new O-line coach. I'm not saying that won't happen, but nothing. But as you guys know, that they're not going to make those kind of announcements until after the bowl game. And after they had time to evaluate the program a little deeper.
I think his music is pretty good. It should, draw on the kids, right? Don't they like Chris Brown?
Yeah. Okay. That's a nice one. Yeah. Maybe they'll think that Chris Brown's actually visiting them.
There you go.
All right. All right. Well, let's just start. I kind of want to start. I want to save football for the end, and I kind of want to start with baseball.
Okay.
Paul, one of the things you thought was that you thought maybe one of the stories of the year was the baseball team getting snubbed out of the College World Series. And, I had told you that I thought the bigger story was not Iowa, but Rutgers. And I just wanted to get your thoughts on why you think that them getting snubbed was a big story.
Well, I didn't have it in my top 5. So, I had sent you what I thought were kind of the top 5 storylines for Iowa for 2022. Okay. It didn't make the cut, but it was kind of an honorable mention, because I really feel like the baseball team, it doesn't get a lot of play, right? You can turn on other pods, other video pods and of Hawkeye stuff. Baseball team's not getting a lot of run.
Right.
But I did feel like they at least deserved a mention. I don't care about Rutgers baseball and them getting snubbed. They can talk about that on the Scarlet Night Fever podcast or whatever, let them do that. For our team, there was definitely, some regional bias as far as who did get in and who got left out. And I just felt like at the time, the Hawkeyes were snubbed out of an opportunity that they had probably earned.
Right. And I probably would have agreed with you that if had Rutgers made it, and Iowa didn't, then I would say, yeah, Iowa probably deserved a shot too. But, when Rutgers didn't make it, Iowa's fate was sealed.
Yeah. True.
All right. Let's move on to the men's basketball. What a year men's basketball had in 2022, including if you want to go a little bit earlier this season. What do we got here? Oh, my God, Paul. I wonder what you were laughing at. Who's this sober Paul talking? Oh.
Well, it's only 10 a.m. Catch me in a
you don't suppose he saw that fluke video that I did eventually delete of you being drunk when we were on air live.
Yeah, hey,
I did delete that.
it was good times.
All right. So men's basketball, they win the tournament title. Okay. Um, then then it becomes a dud. They lose in the first round. It was the first round, right? How disappointing is that for a team that we thought was top, Sweet 16 bound, and and so and then of course Keegan goes on to be the lottery pick, and he's having a pretty decent year with the Kings. I understand. I haven't watched every Kings game. There are some games where he's not doing as well as others, but it sounds like he's having an up and down year. But he's having a decent year out there in Sac. Well, I shouldn't say out there because it's right up the road from me in Sacramento.
Yeah, from everything I don't get a lot of Kings games here, and I don't pay for the NBA package because
Right.
I don't have a ton of interest in it. But I have kind of kept up a little bit, and it sounds like Sacramento. Sounds like Sacramento's having a great season, and so at least by Sacramento standards, right? I mean, they've kind of been one of the worst teams in the NBA. I mean, you can go back. God, it seems like it must have been 10 or 15 years ago now. I think they might have had do they have Chris Webber or I feel like they had a team that was decent for a minute, but the Kings have really not been a very competitive team. But they seem to be putting it together now, and Keegan's definitely a huge part of that.
Oh, he is. He is very much. Yeah, he's doing very phenomenal and this season, and I think the Kings are in second place. So they're definitely in playoff contention. But to say look all the all stars and superstars that the Lakers have, and they're in dead last place. How is that possible?
Right.
Are the superstars not performing this year? Or are they not playing?
I think they just got old.
Is that what it is?
I mean, LeBron's 50 now, right?
Well, LeBron ain't leaving. He ain't leaving until he's played. Until he's played at least 1 year with his son in the NBA.
Right. And I mean, and however old LeBron is, he's an old. I mean, if he's 38, he's an old 38, right? I mean, because he's been playing in the league since he didn't even play college ball.
Right. He was 18 or 17 when he started in the league.
Right. Which, and then how many Olympic teams has he played on? I don't even know, but you start adding all that up. That's a lot of mileage on those tires.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Well, all right. I wanted to point out that we also wanted to talk about this, starting with the brother Chris. Who started out having a decent year against some of the weaker teams, and I think one of the bigger stories is he's hurt right now, so it doesn't really matter too much. But I'm kind of disappointed in his performance against the more powerful teams, the more physical teams. It seems like he's disappearing, or he hasn't figured out how to do what Keegan did last year. And I don't want to compare him to Keegan because I keep hearing Keegan's more physical and Chris is more finesse, and so Chris he's struggling getting in there when he's double teamed and getting to the hoop and stuff. But so I thought that was a pretty sizable story too. I think I counted that during that 6-game run that the Iowa Hawkeyes, were talked about. We know more about that team. I think they went 3-3 during that 6-game run. But Chris wasn't there for one of the important losses, and that was Wisconsin, because I think we could have won that if Chris had played that night. I don't know, because actually, now I'm not even going to say that because the McCaffrey brothers stepped it up that night against Wisconsin and really took it to town and they both played the lights out better than I think they had all during their career, really. Mm-hmm. And of course, I know Perkins is still doing his thing, but he still has some issues, and Perkins may have cost them a chance to win the game late in the game when I think we were tied or still leading, when he turned the ball over by trying to get too fancy. And I think that's one thing that I'd never seen Perkins do before was get so fancy with his dribbling that he dribbles himself into trouble. And I think he had one major turnover. He may have had a couple of others, but it's something we used to blame on. The guy who's gone now went to Virginia Tech, but okay. And so let's just talk about that Wisconsin game a little bit. Phil Parker's fall. If Wisconsin didn't stop our momentum with the bloody nose, we would have had much larger deficit for them to overcome. Who knows? I mean, Wisconsin's a very physical team, very, and they got away with a lot of handsies and a lot of holds because I guess the referees didn't want to call every single foul on them, or Wisconsin wouldn't have had anybody left at the end of the game to play. And I'm also kind of upset with the one dude who kind of like smirked and kind of just rubbed it in our faces at the end of the game when the cameras followed him off the court.
Yeah. Jabo signed his shoes and left them on the court there at Iowa State. I have no problem with what the Wisconsin kid did.
Okay. All right. Any more thoughts for you on the men's basketball?
I mean, storylines for the year, like you had talked about, right? One Big Ten tournament that was how fun was that, right? It was great. Great to win that. They kind of got hurt maybe just a little bit. We talked about this probably back then, and I know other people have. The Big Ten was the last to finish the tournaments, and then we wound up having the early game on Thursday for the NCAA tournament. So we had that, the 4 games in 4 days. Then we had to travel to where we had the NCAA tournament. We had the short time to prepare, so I mean those are factors. So I mean when we talk about, was it a disappointment that we didn't get into the Sweet 16 again? Yeah, it probably was a little bit of a disappointment, but I think you have to be willing to assess the entirety of the situation, and so it was just a tough draw on a tough day, short rest, travel, the whole deal, coming off the tournament, and that's kind of where I would kind of sort of use that same excuse or similar excuse with what happened against Wisconsin, right? I mean, what we're talking about, this series of games that Iowa was just in, whether it was with Duke, Iowa State, now Wisconsin, and these, boom, 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 and we're doing it with half a roster, I just think, we had Carter Kingsbury in there. We had Dix in there, or Nix or Dix, whatever his name is.
Dix, it's Dix.
Dix, yeah.
Yep.
We were pretty far down the bench of guys who probably wouldn't have seen action if the guys were healthy, and so. The fact that we got that game to overtime without our best player, who's probably an NBA level talent, that speaks volumes.
Right. Yeah. All righty. Let's move on to the women's. I'll let you kind of take the lead on the women's here.
So, I mean, what do you say about the women, right? Also, Big Ten champions, right?
Right.
Were they Final Four? I believe they got to the Final Four.
No, they didn't get past the round of 32. They got upset by Creighton on their home floor.
Oh, that's right.
If you remember right, by a former Hawkeye who had transferred portal out of the Hawkeye team and went to Creighton, and she just destroyed Iowa. They had no answer for her.
That's right. Yeah, and they were. I remember them being extremely physical with Caitlin Clark. And I mean, speaking of Caitlin Clark, right? How awesome is it to probably have, if she's not the best women's college basketball player in the country, she's she's in the elite few who would be considered, right?
Right. Yeah. Do you think that this year she'll finally? I mean, after 2 years in a row of being snubbed, do you think she'd actually get it this year?
Yeah, sometimes those award givers, they do look at your class, right? Okay, well, this person's a freshman, they still have time to win it. This person's a sophomore, they still have time to win it.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes I think they do go with the senior or the junior that maybe moving on to. They want to give them a chance to win it. So not necessarily a reflection that they honestly think that they were better, but
Mm-hmm.
um, you know, well, we've had one Heisman Trophy winner who's won it twice in Archie Griffin. You
Mm-hmm.
have to really, really be outstanding,
Mm-hmm.
and so, and I'm not saying Caitlin Clark isn't, but you know, maybe they were just concerned about giving it to her too early. And then, do you give it to her 2 times, 3 times? It just
Right.
so that's my take on it.
Yeah. If I remember right, didn't Paige Buckner win that award her freshman year?
Now that probably could have been the case,
Yeah,
but
I think
maybe
I
they're.
think she did. However, her sophomore year she barely played because she was hurt, and she hasn't played yet her junior year. Paige
Mhm.
Buckner. So it was kind of sad to see her sitting on the sideline when we were losing to Connecticut this year. Another thing I wanted to point out is that there's high expectations on this Iowa women's team.
Mhm.
They were picked by the media and the coaches, I believe, to win the Big Ten this year again,
Mhm. Yeah.
which is understandably, since they brought everybody back, that was a key player from last year. However, except for Iowa State, they have yet to beat a top 25 team.
Yeah.
They're in the top 25. You would think a top 25 team would at least win half of their top 25 games.
Yeah.
You're not going to expect them to win them all, but you're expecting, you're top 25, they're top 25. This you should be able to win some. And Iowa State's the only one that they really came out, and they wanted that Iowa State game when they went to the second half against them, and you could tell that they were fired up.
Yeah. I'd say that's definitely part of the big storyline for 2022 for women's basketball. They came in preseason top 5, I think. I think they were the preseason number 4.
Yeah, they were. And that it's kind of like sad a little bit because right now they're still considered, according to the ladies who did the announcing of the Iowa State game, they're still considered a Big Ten favorite to win, but they're not even the highest ranked Big Ten team. There's a few teams ahead of them
Mhm.
in the Big Ten, so they got their work cut out going forward. I think they realized that they got their work cut out. Let's back up to something. Phil Parker's Paul said something on the men's basketball. That Penn State and Nebraska are no guarantees. Penn State never was a guarantee, but they were always, probably a little bit of a breather from the hard card. But yeah, you got Penn State, Nebraska, and Northwestern playing pretty good ball right now. And you said that the Big Ten is stacked from 1 to 10. That would be 1 to 14. I don't want to burst your bubble, but there are 14 teams in the league.
No, I mean, this is look what the Big Ten did in the Big Ten ACC Challenge, the Gavitt games, things like that. This is a really, really good league. And I'm not sure that right now I'm not really sold on that Wisconsin team that we just lost to. Honestly, they might be one of the worst teams in the Big Ten. They don't shoot the ball particularly well, and like we had mentioned earlier, if we would have had, Chris Murray, a healthy Chris Murray in that game, I don't think it goes to overtime.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Who are the 4 that we don't include that aren't good? I'm sorry, Phil. I didn't mean to insult your intelligence. I'll take that back. You're not including the 4 that aren't any good. Who would the 4 be?
For
I guess he
basketball?
includes Northwest. Yeah, Northwestern.
There's really not any bad teams in the league right now. I mean, who would you say? The bottom teams in the league, I don't even know who they would be at the moment. I mean,
Right.
Rutgers,
I mean, yeah.
it's not. If Rutgers is the worst team, one of the worst teams in the league, that's a pretty strong league. Nebraska's playing well.
Penn State's playing well.
Minnesota, Indiana's, Purdue is like top. Michigan, Michigan State, Ohio State. I mean, tell me who the bottom four are.
Yeah, that's what we kind of want to know is who you consider the bottom four is, because obviously I think you've got Northwestern in there. But even then, they're going to be a tough win. They're going to be a very tough win. I watched them play a couple times this year, and they're going to be a tough win. You can't take that for granted. Maybe Minnesota, but they're going to be a tough win no matter what. Minnesota's under a new coach this year, I believe.
Yeah, and the Barn is no easy place to play.
No. Yeah. So I don't know. We'd be curious, Phil, if you could just drop in your bottom four, because we're struggling to think who would be considered the bottom four. Okay. So anything else we want to add to either the men's or women's basketball before we move on?
I would say, I mean, as far as storyline for 2022 for the year, Chris Murray actually coming back, right? Because they both went and did the NBA thing.
Right.
They both got graded. It did sound like, I mean, Chris maybe was always coming back, but it did sound like he did get there was some interest, right?
Mm-hmm.
From the league on so just Chris Murray coming back, probably a storyline that we at least needed to acknowledge, that there it is.
The fact that it came out later that he was, after he committed back to Iowa, that he was offered a 2-way contract after somebody would draft him. Okay. Okay. He considers Northwestern, Minnesota, Maryland. I thought Maryland was playing pretty good right now.
I don't know.
Okay. I might be wrong. I'll have to look that up. Okay. Okay. Those are probably the teams I thought maybe he would be under there, but I got to tell you right now, none of those are a guaranteed win or going to be an easy win. Absolutely. And Wisconsin jumped after their win against us. They actually jumped into the top 25. So now they're a top 25 team, and that's a game we should have won. We should have never let it get away from us.
Agreed.
Okay. All right. Let's move on to. And Phil, I saw your football question. We're going to come back to that later after we do the football, which will be our last thing we do today is football. Let's talk about wrestling.
Let's talk wrestling.
Wrestling. Let's go wrestling. So I think the biggest news was the disappointing finish of Iowa wrestling after they were defending national champs, defending Big Ten champs, and they were expected to do that again, and they did not. Yeah. But they had a lot of injuries at a lot of weights last year, and of course the biggest key was Spencer Lee, who he just energizes the rest of the team. And I noticed that last year, and I said this before, without him in the lineup, I know that Drake Aiella did an admirable job of holding that spot down, but he's not Spencer Lee, and I think people would agree with that. Yeah. But Spencer Lee just fired up his teammates. Every time he go first, man, oh my God, those guys would come out with a little adrenaline. The guys that followed him immediately. And
Spencer's a 2-time Hodge Trophy winner, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, I mean, if there's anybody watching this who doesn't really watch wrestling or know what that is essentially the Heisman Trophy for college wrestling is the Hodge Trophy. So we have an Archie Griffin on the mat for the Hawkeyes. I mean, you go back to the Big Ten championships, the national championships, that was not the team that had won the previous national championship. That we were a bruised, battered, beat up, hobbled, any other adjective that you can come up with that explains that they were not healthy, right? I mean, it was, and it was disappointing. The outcome was disappointing. They were still real close there in the Big Tens, but there was just no way we were going to compete for a national championship with half a team.
No, there's not. Now the good news is Spencer Lee, after taking off the first several matches and tournaments, what came back against Iowa State, got off to a hot start. He did seem to slow down in the third period a little bit, but that's probably from a lack of not wrestling for a whole year. But he did get off to a hot start on that one, and his bonus points helped propel Iowa to a win over Iowa State.
Mm-hmm.
Had anybody else been at that position, they would have probably lost to Iowa State at that position.
Right, and maybe the entire duel at that point.
That would have cost, without that win at 125, that would have cost Iowa the duel.
So he's so important, and he's so good when he's on. Like, it's just, yeah, he's fun to watch.
Right. And what about Real Woods? Have you had a chance to get much look at him right now?
I mean, I only saw him in the most recent duel. He's hyper, right? He brings a lot of energy to the mat.
Okay. Did Iowa had a duel not that long ago, and I didn't catch it. I didn't get a chance to catch any of it at all or follow up on it, and I meant to, and I kept meaning to get back to at least get an article read about it. Did Spencer wrestle in that duel?
I'm not sure. There was one. I think it was only on like BTN Plus, and I wasn't.
Yeah. You don't watch BTN Plus?
No, I do. I just.
Oh, okay. All right.
I didn't have a chance to see it.
I'm paying too much for it. I gotta drop it and get it back, so where I'm only paying for the Hawkeye part of it.
That's what I'm doing. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like $9.99 if you just want the Hawkeyes, and I think I have accidentally got the whole Big Ten, and so I'm paying $15.99.
Oh, gotcha.
You gotta save that $6, dude.
Yeah. $72 a year.
Yeah, that could go and that could fill up one gas tank. I'm right now with California gas is the way I'm averaging about mid-70s to fill up a tank from empty.
Ooh, nice.
I'm paying. I have to run premium in my car, so I'm paying around $4. Right now, I'm paying around $4.89 or something like that.
Okay,
but but it's the first time in a long time that gas has been under $5 here. It was $6, pushing $7. I was paying $6.99 at one point at the same gas station. So
you're having to donate plasma to fill up your gas tank.
Yeah, there you go. Got to make some money, dude. Oh yeah. What's your favorite pub?
I don't really have one. Wrigleyville in Marion, Iowa would probably be my favorite pub.
Okay.
Hadn't been there since the Iowa-Ohio State game, and I can promise you that their prices are much better than two with what we're talking about. But and I don't drink whiskey.
So you wouldn't pay $70 for two whiskeys.
I'm more of a Bacardi guy. I like the rum. So.
All right. Iowa wrestling is still ranked number 2. Both the Big Ten and the national, and I saw a thing where they broke down the points for both dual meets and individual tournament style thing, using the points based off of the rankings of each person, and it wasn't even close. Iowa wasn't even close to Penn State. Like, in their opinion, if the national tournament had happened right then and there, that Iowa was probably about 30 or 40 points behind Penn State.
Mm-hmm.
And so hopefully these wrestlers that are currently ranked lower. That's making Iowa not be as high as Penn State. Hopefully, throughout the year, they're picking up a lot of good stuff. Hang on for a second. I seen something here. Okay. Good idea. Sorry, I'm hard to do two things at once. Yeah. Okay. Let's head back. Okay. This one probably take a little bit longer. Let's talk about Iowa football in 2022.
Oh boy.
And I guess we could start with the disastrous bowl game on January 1st.
We
Or
could, but
2nd.
what's the upside?
Yeah, really. Oh yeah, that was one of I think that was one of the most humorous, most fun coaches pressers that we ever had. I mean, Kirk was obviously a little upset. Or was that oh no, that wasn't Kirk, that was Brian.
That was Brian.
That was Brian, I forgot. Oh my god. Yeah. And now look what we have. Everybody's gonna get what they want.
Okay.
We're either gonna have Carson May or LeBeus quarterbacking the team on next week. No, that's 2 weeks from today. No, 2 weeks from tomorrow. God, I can't believe that game is still 2 weeks away.
Wow.
Yeah, still a long ways away, guy. For Hawkeye football.
More football practices to be had for those guys, and
yeah,
I think they're going to need every single one of them.
Yeah, they are. Fortunately, Kentucky's quarterback has opted out, as their number one running back has. So hopefully that helps us a little bit. Oh, look who's joined us in the comments.
Yeah.
You know, Jason, I did send you a link if you do want to change your mind and make your face appearance on here. I did not include you because I was kind of hoping you'd want to come in and at least pop in for a little while.
So yeah, I mean our football stories of 2022. I think if you go back all the way to the bowl game last year, right, which was the New Year's Day bowl, and Keegan Johnson didn't play in that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then we really didn't see him again. I mean, just a few plays here and there. We saw him, for a few plays in the Nevada game, and that was pretty much it. That was one of the strangest things I think I had ever seen. Where all of a sudden, your best receiver, a guy missing the bowl game, probably not a strange thing, but it just. And then the spring, and then Charlie Jones leaving after spring ball. There was a weird period in there where it just seemed like things were a little off.
There was. I was saying all year. I mean, just for the record, Keegan got in for 7 plays against Nebraska officially. I don't think he had any targets go his way though.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I lost my train of thought there. I kept telling you guys all year, I just thought the way they were handling the Keegan thing and how they were keeping everything kind of like we'll tell you when he's ready to play, or that they didn't give the updates like they usually do on the other players. People would ask about him and they would give an update, and here they just didn't want to talk about Keegan.
Yeah,
and now it's come out that basically he'd had probably could have played sooner, but he had academic issues by not going to class and stuff, I guess, is what I understand. And that's I don't want to say that's a rumor because that hasn't been verified, but it's been pretty well put out there, even by some of the legit podcasters and news people, that was the reason. And so the whole point is they were going to redshirt him, and so they couldn't play him until they got him to a point where they didn't want to burn his red shirt, and there he goes. And my understanding is that he was asked to leave Iowa. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. But we're not going to say it was true. But we just told that it was because Kirk is never going to tell us.
Again, yeah, I mean that's you kind of really hit it on the head there with the health updates or what's what's going on with the kind of the we're just not talking about Keegan kind of thing. Not this week. You know what I mean? Like that was just kind of Keegan. Nope. Okay. And it's I'm just gonna leave it at that because I was gonna say something, but we're here to talk sports and not other things. So
right. Okay. All right. So all right. Well, so we started with that was kind of like the signal of what was to come. That bowl game. Was it the Citrus Bowl, right?
It was. I'm actually wearing my Citrus Bowl shirt right now.
Cool. Cool.
Yeah.
Verbal.
So I was there. I thought it was actually a pretty good game, all things considered. We still had a chance there at the end. Spencer played okay. The defense, for the most part, played pretty well. Had some trouble getting off the field on third downs and gave up the big play there at the end, and that kind of killed the game. But overall, it was a fun game to be at, and the weather was great. And it was not 110 degrees like they said it was on TV. I was there. I live in Florida. It's never 110 degrees on New Year's Day here. It's just not. Don't let them.
Yeah. Well, I think they were saying it was on the field because sometimes the field gets hotter.
I was only like 8 rows up in the stands. It wasn't 110. It just doesn't get. And they say, well, it feels like 110. Okay, but they were showing a thermometer. I think the thing stuck on 110. Okay,
there you go. It got so bad before earlier in the year when it was still 100.
Yeah, in September when it probably was 110.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. And then so that brings us around. We start off the season against South Dakota State, and we really struggled against them. But we did get the victory. But I think South Dakota State proved throughout the year that they were formidable, even though they're on UNI's level. Because they did win the national championship. Didn't they? Yeah, they did.
Did they win it? I mean, the last time I saw, they had beaten.
Wait a minute! Have they even played that? They haven't played the title game yet.
I think their title game is this week.
Yeah, I think you're right. You're right. I was thinking that game that they played was the title game, but it was actually a semifinal or a quarterfinal.
Yeah, I think it was the semi.
Okay.
Or maybe it is a quarter. I don't know.
But they are ranked number 1 in that. They're seeded number 1 in that. So, okay. So then we come up against Iowa State, which at the time everybody thought it was going to be a tough win. That we could lose it. Iowa defensively did enough to win that game, but we couldn't do anything offensively, and we basically fumbled away at the goal line the winning touchdown. That would have been the winning touchdown, and as it proved, Iowa State didn't prove to be a very good team this year. Only 3 wins, and it's kind of sad because we lost 2 trophy games to 2 3-game winners. Okay, well now Nebraska's a 4-game winner because they beat us, but they were 3-game winner going into that game, and probably 2 of our worst games of the season.
Yeah. Well, and you know what? We still have a chance to bring home a trophy that we've never had. So there's always that, right? I mean, that Iowa State loss really does. It didn't affect us as far as going to Indianapolis or anything, but it's definitely a disappointing loss. We've beaten much better Iowa State teams than the one we lost to. So, and yeah, there we go. All right. Thanks, Hack. So,
yeah. Okay. All right. So anyway, the season finished 7-5 regular season. I went back and I looked in my handy media guide. Iowa hasn't had a season under 8 wins since 2014. And we were 7-6 that year because we lost the bowl game. And so, I think everybody who's talking about how bad Iowa is, and yes, and I know they had 6 wins during the COVID year, but that doesn't really count. I mean, it counts in their record overall, but we're not going to count the fact that they didn't have 10 games to get to 10 wins, did they?
Mhm.
Oh, yeah, they did. They had the last 2 games were canceled. That would have got them 8 wins if they'd have won those two.
2014, is that the last time Nebraska went to a bowl game?
Might be the last time that Nebraska beat Iowa too.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, until today, until this year.
Yeah. I mean,
I'm not gonna take time to look it up.
I was mostly just kind of tongue in cheek there, but I mean, for all the Iowa fans that are out there that are unhappy that we lost to Iowa State, unhappy that we lost to Nebraska, unhappy that we didn't get to Indy, unhappy that we don't have 10 wins. Be happy that you're going to get to go to a new bowl destination. Be happy that we still have another football game to play. Because again, what bowl is Nebraska playing in? What bowl is Iowa State playing in? What bowl is other team? What bowls are they playing in? That they I guarantee you, as much they probably wouldn't admit to it, but deep down, you don't think Nebraska would like to be going to Nashville? You don't think their fans wouldn't like to go to Nashville and get to watch them play another football game? Of course they would.
Nebraska fans have to adjust their thinking that for them it's national championship or nothing. I think Iowa fans are starting to get that way too. I think we're starting to think that way, and we just haven't appreciated what Kirk Ferentz has done since 2014. That season, that was when it wasn't that the year that they dubbed him Kirk Point 2.0. Next year, yeah, that's the year we went 12-0 before we lost to.
Well, part of it is it's not just that Iowa fans are saying it's national. I mean, the sport itself has moved into this NIL, transfer portal, and playoffs, right? I mean, those are the big three things around the sport. And if you're not, in the playoff, I mean, there used to be a time when ESPN would do a bowl show, right after and the bowl games are being announced, and they would actually talk about the Citrus Bowl. They talk about the Alamo Bowl and those matchups. They don't even do that anymore. Their bowl show is nothing but the playoff selection show, and that's all they talk about. So it's not an Iowa fan thing, and it's not a Nebraska fan thing.
Right. Okay. Phil Parker Paul says, I'm unhappy with that we were subjected to another year of Petrus while KF has run 2 QBs out of the program, defending a college caliber backup at best.
I'd like to respond to that. Go rewatch the Purdue game. That Purdue team that won the Big Ten West, that went to Indy and gave Michigan, gave them some fits, right? They competed with undefeated playoff Michigan. Petrus isn't a terrible quarterback. He got zero help around him, especially early in the season. Once the team started getting healthy around him, and we started having more than 1 or 2 scholarship wide receivers dressed for a football game, all of a sudden he looked competent. He looked okay.
Yeah. I just want to say Kirk didn't run these guys out, I don't think. I don't think Spencer was ever coming back. I believe he made that clear at one point, but I don't have the exact place where I think he said in August or something that this was his final season, and he took a walk on senior day, which would indicate that he considered this his final season.
Yeah.
And I don't think anybody really thought that Padilla was going to stick around.
Hard to do. When your position coach is literally saying what's the upside.
Right.
Hey, why not try the other guy? What would be the downside to trying somebody else? Well, what would be the upside? Like,
Right.
you know,
Yeah, and honestly, I thought once Padilla got comfortable running the team against Nebraska, we just ran out of time. If he'd have had five more minutes running that thing, I think he could have come back and beat Nebraska,
mm,
or at least tied and send us to overtime.
mm.
Um,
Parker's paw brings up Deuce Hogan. Deuce was so good and so coveted that he transferred to Kentucky and had to
he's not.
walk on there. They didn't even give him a scholarship. He's still not on scholarship, and I think he's been passed now by some other guys on their depth chart. So, um, you know, later
Yeah,
deuces,
yeah,
bro.
yeah. Here. Hack is going to give us a more thing. Well, Deuce is number 4 on that team, so we're still not going to see him, even though
No.
we're going to see a quarterback that got some backup playing time this year, actually saw some game time, and he's going to go on the field and he's going to play against a quarterback that has had no college experience at all.
Mm. Yeah.
I mean, it's probably Labus. I mean, I'm going to go with the fact that I believe it's going to be Labus because Labus is more experienced, has been in the program longer, But I believe they're giving Carson every chance they have so that he can push Labus.
Yeah, and by the way, I'm intrigued to see what this is going to look like. I would imagine we are probably going to try to run the football quite a bit, but yeah, again with Kentucky playing their backup and going against the Nagurski, best linebacker in the country, this could definitely. I could see this being a game where the defenses outscore the offenses.
Mm-hmm. Right, that could happen.
Could happen.
I think it'd be fun, interesting game. Honestly, I think we have as much chance to win it as Kentucky does.
Yeah.
Okay. So, what are the other big news of the day? Transfer portal.
Transfer portal. Let's wrap it up with this. So
yeah, we're gonna wrap it up with the transfer portal. Okay. So Iowa has now officially lost 9 players to the transfer portal. I always thought it was 9, but I guess it was 7 at one point when I thought it was 9. And I'm still trying to wrap my head. But the announcers are saying that with what's his name? I can't think. Daryl or Dallas Colpath or Colpath putting himself in the transfer portal the other day. That made number 9. So I don't know who the number 8 is.
Cradieth?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
Yeah.
That
okay.
Sucks.
Yeah, it sucks because I think he was an up and comer and especially a good special teams player. But I guess he sees the handwriting on the wall that there's no room for him.
If you're watching this and you're big time into Hawkeye sports, Hawkeye football, I implore you to take a look at what's going on around the country, because as bad as it seems that Iowa's losing all these guys to the portal, we're not even in like the top 10 or 15 of teams that are having guys leave from the portal. And so, I mean, literally there's I think a solid 15 teams ahead of us. Teams like Texas A&M that have lost something like 25 guys. Like there's some crazy things going on out there. So the sky is not falling. We lost what we think are pretty good receivers, Arlen Bruce and Keegan Johnson. Did you see the numbers from the offense last year? I mean, I'm not trying to be offensive to anyone, but Arlen Bruce is not a 1, right? He's not the guy in a wide receiving core. He can be a great 2 or 3. The Keegan, we didn't have him all year, right? Except for 7 plays against Nebraska and a handful against Nevada. So I mean, there's really nothing lost in that situation. So and then Iowa's not a school that can afford to lose quality depth pieces. And I mean, if there's a guy in the portal that I think really does hurt Iowa, it could be Terry Roberts, because when he's healthy,
right.
he's won more games for Iowa than he's gonna ever get credit for.
I know, but he spent most of his career on the injured, which is sad because I don't think we ever got to see the real Terry Roberts, what he could actually do when he's fully healthy. Had he never got hurt, I mean, the last 2 seasons he hasn't finished the season,
Yeah,
and so it's just sad. I wish he would have decided to stay for. I mean, I didn't think he was going to stay anyway. I thought he was going to leave and give the NFL a try, but he's decided to play a 6 year and wants to change locations to do it because maybe he feels like he'll have a better chance of staying healthy. I
yeah. I
don't
mean,
know.
if I were him, because of his injury history and things like that, he definitely needs to show that he can he can stay healthy, because there's not going to be an NFL team that is going to touch him in that situation. But I think the other thing too is, he is a good player, and you know, I don't know that he's not a guaranteed starter if he stayed here.
Mm-hmm. That's true. That's true. I think next year's defense is it's going to look a lot different than this year, and we're going to miss having Jack Campbell on that team, who we forgot to mention is unanimous All-American and the other millions of awards, the Buckus Award, and what else has he won this year? I mean, have we had quite a linebacker in a while that's won those kind of all that kind of awards?
No, I mean, Josie Jewell probably deserved more recognition than he got. He was really good.
Right. And he's doing wonders for the Denver Broncos.
Yeah.
All right. I want to. When we went to the transfer part, I wanted to talk about us picking up Cade McNamara, and of course his wide receiver fellow friend, Eric All from Michigan.
Hold up before we get into because I want to say this, because I like to wag my finger at other Hawkeye fans. That's remember now when the rumors started flying. Oh, Iowa's going to get McNamara, and Hawkeye fans are, well, why would he ever want to come to Iowa? Why would he want to play in this kind of offense? He's going to come here. Just Iowa can never land that kind of guy in the portal. You're wrong. You're absolutely wrong on all of it. So just throwing that out there.
Yeah, there you go. I think he's a nice fit for what Iowa does on offense, and he is out there saying in interviews that Iowa's told him that they want to be more aggressive and throw the ball downfield more, and I believe that. I mean, I think the lack of throwing the ball downfield is an inaccurate quarterback and not having the right receivers get downfield. I mean, Keegan Johnson would have been that person had he been able to play all year. Who knows what kind of year he could have had if he stayed healthy early on, and we don't know.
We also couldn't, especially we weren't protecting long enough to throw the ball down the field.
That's true too.
If you want to throw the ball 30 yards down the field, you got to have protection long enough for the guy to get down there.
Right, and I absolutely agree. I think all we really needed was 1 or 2 seconds more from our O line. But the O line, those 5 guys aren't the only problem.
Right.
With the pass protection, because the tight ends and the running backs have to also help out with that protection. And so just to say that I believe Kirk did throw the other Johnson, the running back Johnson, under the bus a little bit by saying in one game that and I don't think he meant to, but it was kind of a slip up that one particular play that was disaster, that was Johnson's fault. He missed a block on that one, and everybody thinks it was number 77. I can't think of his name now. The one that took the heat all year. So, but anyway, we'll see what the transfer portal brings to Iowa. They have the NIL collectives in place now, and so they're actually paying these guys to come in, which is nice. They're not telling us what, but I think there's 2 collectives. One's called the Iowa City Collective. That one pays all current roster members on all sports a stipend each month, and then there's the swarm who can pay a little better. They are also paying monthly fees, I think, to the players, but just for football. And they also have the ability to come up with extra cash to get a particular player, and they have the ability to direct them to like a major sponsor to kind of help pay them too.
And I think we should really be getting more excited about the tight end, Eric All.
Mm-hmm.
I was watching some highlight videos of his. I don't really watch tape. I'm not a coach, and I don't get coaches' tape. But boy, does he remind me a lot of a healthy Tony Moyaki, right? I mean, he's got that more traditional tight end build. By the way, when I say he's got an impressive physique. He's due to he doesn't look like what Iowa guys look like getting off the bus. I mean, this guy he definitely looks the part, but then when you watch him, I think he's got Moyaki like abilities. So that he would be my former Hawkeye comp is Tony Moyaki.
Okay, that sounds fair. I did read up a little bit on him. I mean, not only is he excellent pass catcher because he proved that, but he's also gotten high ratings for his blocking abilities, which we really need a tight end that can block.
And that's again that's George Kittle. I don't know. I think his blocking may have improved too at the pro level. Like he's gotten better with it. Mm-hmm. And Moyaki was kind of our last true dual blocking / receiving threat tight end, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, he was kind of the full package.
Right. And that's the reason why you didn't see a ton of catches by Moyaki. I mean, you don't see the kind of catches that the tight ends nowadays are getting for Iowa.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I believe you. I would go along with that one.
They were rated similar in high school as well. Moyaki was a highly sought after tight end prospect. Mm-hmm. He was, I think, a 4-star, so high 4-star at that.
So. I was thinking 5-star, but you might be right.
Yeah. Dean, I think we need to kind of wrap this thing up, buddy.
I think so too, guys. I hope you liked our
kind of year in review.
I'm having a hard time. We hope you guys liked it. Tell your friends and send this out to your friends. Share it with your friends. I share it with my friends on Messenger all the time, and they haven't told me to quit sending it. So, and I send it to a few former Hawkeyes who I've asked if they don't want me to send it, let me know, and they say no, absolutely, keep sending them. Mm-hmm. So I got former Hawkeyes who I'm friends with that are reading what I have to say.
Dean, I've had some people ask me, how come we haven't done a bowl preview show? And you know what I've had to tell them? We don't know who's going to be on the team by the time the bowl gets here. So I think we're having to wait, right? I mean, how do you do a bowl? I mean, we
will do a bowl preview, but it's probably not going to be before, December 26, 27, 28, somewhere in there, because we actually need to know who's playing on both teams. We don't know. Yeah, this is probably one of the most mysterious I can see. Oh, speaking of people opting out, I know we want to wrap this up, but Charlie Jones and Aiden O'Connell have both opted out for Purdue. I don't know if anybody knew
their
that.
Tight end did too. I can't think of his name at the moment, but their tight end, quarterback, and Charlie Jones all sitting out of the Citrus Bowl.
Right, the Citrus Bowl.
The best bowl Purdue's played in, and what since they played in the Rose Bowl with Drew Brees. I mean,
do you think that has anything to do with the fact that these guys want to stay healthy for the NFL and make sure they got the best shot at the NFL, or that their coach took off and left them before the bowl game?
I think it's probably the latter. I think if their coach was still there, but I mean, like once their coach ditched for Louisville, then what's the point?
Mm-hmm. Right. That's too bad that he didn't. I mean, too bad he couldn't work out a deal where he could coach the team coach the team in the bowl game and then go. But at the same time, he does have recruiting to go, and he has to make sure that he can secure all the players that that Louisville has coming in, and then also decide which ones he doesn't really want. Which won't fit with the system that he's wanting to instill.
Okay. One last comment here from Phil Parker's paw. I think he's asking about Nick Lachey, and I think you're about 98 degrees off from Luke Lachey.
Okay, well, he's just making the same thing you did on the Christopher Brown thing,
Absolutely, absolutely.
Okay, yeah, we're gonna wrap this up, guys. Paul, would you like to send us out with a little Terry?
Yeah, absolutely. So, hey guys, thanks again for 2022. It was definitely a blast doing these videos. Coming on talking Hawks, right? It's always fun. And we wouldn't have this opportunity, or I mean, we would, but certainly we're more able to have this opportunity thanks to the support from Terry. She's an amazing admin on the Facebook page. She does a lot of work on there. I'm sure you noticed if you go to other Facebook pages, you'll see a lot of spam and junk and things like that. Terry does a great job of monitoring those things. So hats off really to Terry and all the hard work she puts in. That's why we're very thankful for her. And we do, again, we absolutely, we do love her products. We love the Scentsy products. We use them. It's really the best thing that I can say for it. The reason we vouch for these things is not because of the sponsorship that we get from Terry. It's because we actually do use the stuff. I've got dryer whiffs and or dryer disc kind of things that they go in the dryer. I've got these little beads that go into your washer to make your clothes smell good, plus laundry soap, softener. We have waxes. We have counter cleaner. We have it all. We honest to God, we literally have probably at least one of just about everything, dish detergent, you name it. So the products are there. They work really good. Your clothes smell great. Your home smells great. Your dishes and counters and bathrooms, all of it's clean and smells great. I implore you, check it out. You can either pay Walmart for the stuff or pay a Hawkeye fan. That's your choice.
There you go. Well, thank you, Paul. Guys, subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're over 200 now. Let's go for our next goal. We'll take easy goals. So we'll go for 300 first, and then let's do it. Let's chase a certain friend of mine who's got 1,000 subscriptions on his videos. Let's chase him and see if we can't pass him.
And
and he'll remain nameless.
For 2023, I'd love for you guys to really get more involved, especially like on the Facebook page, right? We certainly love participation. If you guys know stuff or want to post stuff or have comments or make, absolutely, we definitely want that kind of thing. We will not let you sell, we're not going to let you hawk, or spam or anything like that. We will cut that off and remove you from the group. But, if you want to talk Hawks, we love talking Hawks, and we definitely hope that, in 2023, you guys will want to talk more Hawks with us.
Right. Yeah. And we're actually going to come out with some shorter videos and more often, I think, a little bit. We hope that will help build our brand and help build our subscribers, that you guys don't have to listen to us for an hour and 10 minutes.
The Facebook page is Iowa Hawkeye Sports. Pretty simple.
Yep, simple. Yep. All right, guys. Let's get out of here, Paul.
All right. You guys have
I don't know when our next show is, but we'll talk about it behind the scenes. Hopefully soon. Okay. We're out.
Bye, Dean. Bye, everybody. Go Hawks.
Bye, Terry.
Merry Christmas.
And Merry Christmas. Happy New Year.